Hey, welcome to episode 3 of Angus Chang Podcast. Okay, last week, guess what happened? We got banned for copyright violation. So what was I doing? What was I doing in episode 2? I just talked about what I did in the week, and then afterwards I was talking about a book I read called Wise Guy. And then I read out some passages, and I guess you're not supposed to do that. I probably read too many. I don't know. Maybe if I read one or two sentences, it's probably okay. But I was reading out I probably read like 10 paragraphs. So I guess that's the limit. I also put it in the metadata. So it was like the name of the book and the author was in the title of the, podcast. So that probably made it a bit more clear. But then I guess, I don't know. I guess they're analyzing the transcripts or whatever. So I won't do that this time, especially because I haven't finished reading a book in the last week, but also because I just don't want to go over that book again. But I don't know, maybe next time I finish reading a book, I'll just talk about the book without reading out passages. Or maybe I'll just read the passages in my head and then talk about them. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But anyway, what did I do? What did I do in the last 7 days? Monday last week, there was a open mic at Bar 109, but it was raining really heavily, so not many people were there. I think there were about 3 or 4 watching, maybe less. To be honest, 3 or 4 is not too bad considering it was a black rainstorm. But yeah, that was quite. I think I did quite badly at that mic, but it doesn't matter. Anthony was hosting; he did a good job. Tuesday. Okay, so Tuesday I got a message from someone on Twitter, and they said like, "Hey, I'm doing some document. I've got like all these documents I need to work with. My client wants me to digitize them. Do you have any experience with this?" And I said, "No, I don't have any experience with this, but it'd be cool to meet up and maybe we can talk about it." So we met up for coffee and we talked about the problem. And it's like an oil and gas company in Hong Kong that's been operating for at least 50 years. And they have all these paper documents in Chinese and English, and also printed documents and typed up documents, I assume. But basically they want it all digitized. And the guy said it was like about 50,000 documents or maybe 50,000 pages. I'm not sure. But they want it all digitized, which not really too sure why. Like, what do they want to do after it's digitized? But anyway, they want it all digitized and they want it all searchable. So I was talking to the guy and I was like, yeah, I guess, we found the company that will do the scanning. And then we were thinking like, can we make software to make it searchable? Like 50,000 pages, if you want to OCR it, it's like, I think it's like a tenth of a cent to OCR a page. So 50,000 times 0.1 cents, 1, 2, 3 times 0.001. Yeah, it's like $500 to OCR 50,000 pages. It's not too bad, right? Potentially worth it. Although I don't think OCR, I don't know about Amazon, but I don't think OCR is very good with handwritten text. And I also assume it's not good with handwritten Chinese text, especially because like Chinese text is really hard to OCR because I think people write stuff wrong, or they don't write distinct strokes and this kind of stuff, So you kind of have to figure out what it means. Especially if it's written by hand, you have to figure out what it means based on the context. It's like it's probably not this word because the other words say this. I guess that's what context means. So talked to the guy. I was like, yeah, it sounds kind of cool. I'm sure you can make like some kind of software product after everything's been OCR'd. And then I was researching the industry and I found some like YouTube videos of what people do. It seems like something that a lot of companies offer, and possibly they've been offering this scanning service for a long time. So there's these machines that you can feed in documents into, and they they scan pages really quickly. But that part is great, but then they say the preparation takes way longer than the scanning because you need to get the paper into like it might be dog-eared, or it might be thin, or it might be folded or whatever. So it's like, according to those videos, the preparation is more work than the actual scanning. So the relevance of like the scanning, the speed of your scanner, like obviously you don't want to use like a flatbed scanner, that'll be really slow. But if you use like I don't know, an automated paper scanner, that's pretty good. But you need to take out things like staples and paper clips and and whatever. So my impression is like there are companies doing the manual work already, and there's also software available to deal with scanned documents and then make them searchable. So I wasn't really able to find out what the software is like. It would be nice to test it out, like some sort of demo or whatever, but I didn't really research it. I was trying to find videos on YouTube. I couldn't really find anything. But I assume like this industry's been around probably like 20 plus years, and probably the software is pretty good. So I was like, well, what can I really do? Like it's nothing's really changed in the last 20 years to make, besides LLMs, to make scanning better or digitization of documents better. But it's always nice to like try out the software and see how bad it is, because sometimes like when I was doing bank statement converter, I actually made it first, and I was operating for about a month, and then I thought, hey, I wonder if anyone else did this. So I searched up bank statement converter or bank statement to CSV, and then I found a bunch of pages, and I clicked on them, and I was like, oh no, these pages look really good. They look really professional. And then I tried it and it didn't work, and I was like, yes. So I was just lucky that they didn't really work. I did find other competitors, and they were selling offline software, which is like, it's good for privacy, but it's bad for user experience, right? So like, if you're running a bank statement converter on your laptop or desktop, there's no data security issue because the data doesn't leave your laptop or desktop. But it is difficult to install software onto your computer, and it's like, if I just want to try it out, I don't want to download like an exe or a DMG and then install it. I just want to like drag a file on. So I would say even if I offered a desktop solution, I would probably have less customers because it's so much more friction. And I think a lot of people, some people are probably on mobile as well, but not that many. But a lot of people also just cannot install stuff on their work computers. Yeah, I mean, there's a percentage of that, maybe like 5%. Or they're noobs, they don't know how to install stuff. Yeah, okay, so I met that guy, that was cool. My feeling is we're not going to do anything with that. I talked to Hubert about it as well. He seemed quite interested, but I have a feeling we're not going to do anything with that. And Hubert and I are working on an app called documentworker.com. I'm trying to get users for that app. So right now it can like convert videos and resize videos, convert images, resize images, that kind of stuff. So I thought maybe YouTubers would want to use it. So especially new YouTubers, if they have to do like basic editing. So I found like a YouTuber subreddit, and then I found their email addresses on their YouTube accounts, and then I just send them cold emails. I think I sent about 10, and from the 10 emails I sent, one person uploaded a video, and nobody replied. So maybe YouTubers is not a great market, maybe that's not the right people to contact. And then when I was talking to Hubert on the call, we have a call like every Tuesday. I was talking to Hubert on the call, and then I said, you know what, maybe I should just contact, just find communities of users on Reddit and then tell them, we're looking for something to make. So can you tell us your pain points, and maybe we can make something useful for you guys. That's a bit risky because Reddit, especially people on Reddit, the general vibe is they don't like it when you're self-promoting or you're trying to make money. So um, if I did that, I would probably use like my second Reddit account instead of my first one, so that I don't get my first Reddit account banned. Although I don't really care if my Reddit account gets banned. Like, what's the big deal? Um, and then I thought, oh, okay, yeah, I could contact these communities, but I'm already building an app for accountants, and like I have a lot of accountants using it. Maybe I can email my users and say, do you have any other pain points? You know, we're looking for something new to make. Is there anything else you need? Or is there any, like, just tell us your pain points and maybe we can think of a solution. I haven't done that yet. I need to do that. Maybe I will do that today. I wrote a SQL query to find out who the heaviest users are, and so I have that data now. But I haven't emailed them, so I'll start doing that. I'm not going to spam them. Like, I'm not going to send a bulk email. I'm just going to handwrite maybe like 100, because somebody told me that, like some sales guy or some marketing guy said, when you're sending cold emails, don't copy paste them, because the user can feel it. If you handwrite it, it'll be slightly different, and then you'll make it shorter and shorter every time, because you don't want to type it out, and shorter is better for cold emails. So that's the suggestion. I think it's also because if you don't want to be sending out like 2,000 emails from your inbox, because it makes you look like a spammer. If you send out like, I don't know, one every 5 minutes for 3 hours, that's more like a normal user. It's a bit crazy, but not super crazy. Wednesday, what did I do? I was hosting an open mic. What did I do before that? I don't even know. I was hosting an open mic. That went okay. You know, there was like good audience, and then somebody was filming a promo video for the bar, so that was kind of cool. That, you know, I don't know. It's not that cool. And it went long. It went really long. I think I just wasn't strict enough with the time. So all the comics are supposed to have like a 5-minute limit on how long they talk for, and I just was a bit too loose with it. I'm doing that again this Wednesday, so I'm gonna be a bit more like extreme. I'm gonna really hold people to the 5 minutes and start yelling out, "Hey, time's up!" I'll just interrupt their sets if they go over, which is kind of rude, but I think that's what I want to do. Also, I was thinking, like, there's 12 comics, and then I'm supposed to like talk for like 10 to 30 seconds between each comic. I might just do that for 4 or 6, and then 7 to 12 they can just introduce each other on stage. I think that'll make it go a bit more smooth. It's also like less work for me, which is good. Thursday, my mom came back, so I hung out with her. What did we do? I don't know. We just hung out at home. Friday, I was writing. Was I writing? One of these days, I was basically writing. So I had a roast battle against my friend Henrik, who I've known for 31 years. So we had a roast battle against Henrik, and I wrote like 50 jokes, but like only 2 or 3 were good. And then I just kept writing the same joke over and over again in a big Google Doc. So basically spent Thursday and Friday writing more jokes, and also like deciding which jokes I was going to actually use. So I would write like, you know, some jokes about him doing TED Talks, some jokes about him doing poetry, and basically I just needed to group them together. So it's like 3 jokes about this, and then use that as one line. 3 jokes about this, use that as one line, and then edit them, because sometimes they didn't really make sense, or like it's not very funny the way it was written. But if you reorder it, it's funnier. Like one thing with comedy is if you have a joke, it's best if the joke doesn't make sense until the last word. So like everything is normal until you say the last word, and then once you've said the last word, then everyone gets the joke, then they laugh. Because if it's if the joke could be understood like on the sixth or fifth last word, then some people will understand it, t minus five, some t minus four, three, two, one, right? And you don't really want people to be laughing while you're talking, because like other people will miss it and that kind of stuff. So it's like, if you can get it so that it doesn't make sense until the last word, then that's ideal. You can't really always do that, or like I can't always do that, but um, basically I was doing that kind of stuff, tweaking it, cutting bullshit words, and or like cutting things that were too mean. Um, yeah, so I did writing on Thursday and Friday. I think I let me check. Did I do any cool codes on Thursday or Friday? I don't recall doing anything particularly awesome with bank statement converter, which is like kind of a bummer. That's why I liked being on my comedy break. So I took like a 3-month break from comedy. I wasn't doing comedy. No, I didn't. I didn't do anything cool. Yeah, looks like nothing. Yeah, so I was like too busy with this roast to actually implement some cool features. So this week, I think I'm doing. Maybe I'll do it tonight. I have to do it on Wednesday, and then Friday and Saturday I'm doing it. Friday and Saturday I'm probably just gonna do old jokes, so I don't really need to prepare too much. I don't know how many minutes I'm doing, but it'll be like between 5 and 10. Probably 5 on Friday, maybe 10 on Saturday. Anyway, I was doing a lot of research on Henrik on Thursday. I watched all his TED Talks, and I read a lot of his poems. So he's got 3 books of poetry. I think I read half, 1.5, or I read half of each of the books. To be honest, like, couldn't find too much to make fun of him about in the poetry. It's like, I liked it, So I was like, I don't know what to mock him about. But TED Talks are always good because, like, the TED Talks they're one of them he read a poem, so I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. He did a 2-minute poem, and like 2 minutes is like a good amount of time for a TED Talk, right? Like that's basically what you should be doing, like 2 to 5, I guess. One was like a 10-minute TED Talk about how to give a TED Talk. That wasn't very good. Like it seemed a bit obvious. I mean, it's not, and also like, okay, yeah, I mean, I don't know, like to the people watching that, I don't think they're gonna give a TED Talk, so it's not super relevant. And then the people on YouTube watching it, okay, maybe it's more relevant to people on YouTube, but then there weren't not many people viewed it, since 2016. So like, too bad. He did another talk about how to learning how to learn. I watched like half of that, but that was actually quite good. And the funny thing about that was he had a lot of jokes in that talk, but they all just bombed. Like either the audience wasn't wasn't down for jokes or they didn't get him. I think Henrik delivered them too dry or something, or like there was too much like expectation that the jokes were gonna work. So when they didn't, it was really funny to me, at least. Watching 10 years later, Henrik's like got some joke. I forgot. He had some. He said like, this is like this is what I look like when I'm using the computer, and it was like the architect from The Matrix, in front of like 1,000 screens. It was like kind of funny, but he got no laughs. I guess the audience just took him on face value, and they're like, oh, this guy's very full of himself. He's pretty arrogant. I'm sure he doesn't look like that when he's using the computer. But yeah, there's a lot of jokes, and all the ones I saw bomb. So that was very funny. I might watch that talk again just to enjoy watching Henrik bomb. And then Saturday, I went over to my dad's house and hung out with my mom, and I did some more joke editing, and I tried to memorize my set, but I couldn't really. I think I wrote too much this time, so I just decided to go with like cue cards. And then my mom wanted to hear the jokes before the roast, so I did them to her, and she didn't like one of the limericks. She didn't like any of the limericks, I think. And I probably agree with her that they were the shittest part. But I was gonna do 3, but I cut it to 2 because she didn't like one of them. She liked the other jokes more or less. I could read them. Why don't I read them? Put some comedy in this business podcast. Okay, let's roast Henrik in the land of podcasts. Starred. Where is this thing? Henrik Hoeg roast. All right. This is number 1. They say people who talk at TEDx events are irritating douchebags. Has Henrik done a TEDx talk? No, he's done it 4 times. Henrik loves talking so much, he even talked at a female TED event. Henrik, taking stage time away from women does not count as feminism. After that, people said, Henrik always speaks about topics he knows nothing about. That's not true. Henrik organizes a conference on autism. So that was number 1. I actually didn't do the feminism line. I just forgot it. So like the thing is, I wrote it out on cue cards, but I didn't write out the full line, and I just missed it. So, I mean, actually that line's not that good anyway, so it's okay. It probably would have gotten a laugh, but it's not super great. I don't know. You never know. Sometimes things do better than you expect. So what does Henrik talk about at TEDx? Henrik has 0 knowledge or expertise. In one of his TED Talks, he said he was a woman. In another, he talked for 10 minutes about how to give a TED Talk, which was ironic because the talk was shit. He tells the audience, you can bite an apple, but you cannot bite an orange. Henrik, this is not an idea worth sharing. So that line did well. I didn't think it was going to do that well, but that line really worked. Henrik published a book of his poetry. It's available on Amazon for $1. Henrik, don't you think that's a bit expensive? The Kindle free sample has no poems. It's filled up with disclaimers and introductions. Seems like a mistake, but actually it makes sense because the full book also contains no poetry. I bought his book, and afterwards Amazon told me people who bought this book also bought charcoal, lighter fluid, and sleeping pills. So that line worked, the last one. The middle one didn't really work. I think I didn't do it too well, or it's too mean or something, I don't know. Or they just didn't get it because maybe people don't know what Kindle samples are. I think the first line didn't really work either. So I was like doing this one and I was like worrying a little bit. I was like, oh no. Let's read one of Henrik's poems. This sentence has 5 words. This sentence has 5 or 7. It goes on, but that's enough. Reading Henrik's poetry is a lot like hanging out with Henrik's dog. After a few minutes, you start thinking, I need to put this down. That's right, I said it. Henrik's dog is shit. This one worked. The second line, the last line didn't work so well, but it worked okay. Last one is, there once was a man from Denmark whose poems were wide of the mark. He continued to write even though they were shite, and that's why he lives in a park. There once was a man named Henrik who made money sucking on dick. He charged a low fee, for he did it with glee, and said, mate, this job's a picnic. That was like, okay, not super great. So, yeah, I have another one, which was like, I didn't do it, but it was basically like, Henrik's Danish. So you say like, oh, he's Danish, but, so he's like descended from Vikings, but he's like so low testosterone and has erectile dysfunction. Like, how is he gonna rape or kill anyone? And then I say like, oh, maybe, maybe his role in the Viking army was to like be the guy reading poetry and doing comedy on the boat on the way to the invasion. And he gets everyone in the mood to kill and rape people. Something like that. I didn't really write it out. I've done it before to someone else, but it should work. But I didn't do it. I forgot to do it. I think that might have been better than the limerick. The limericks were kind of lame. Also, Henrik really didn't like the limericks, which I kind of get because it's like, his poetry is kind of his thing, and if you're into something and somebody does a bad job at it, it's really annoying. Like, I don't know. So that was a roast. Henrik's really good at roasting, but he didn't do a good job on Saturday. I think one thing about the roast was like my mom said she wanted to come and watch it, so I bought a ticket for her and we went to watch it. But Henrik was surprised to see her, and he also said, oh no, I have to change my lines now. Um, but I think he only had to change one line. But the other thing is like my mom is pretty cool. Like he would have to say something really offensive to offend her. She probably she gets it. It's like a roast, and you want to roast my mom. It's not personal. It's just like it's just it's just a mom joke or whatever. So yeah, that was the roast. It was cool. I mean, roast was good. Like, what were the lineups? It was Stewart versus Garen. That was really good. They both did great. Like Stewart, I haven't seen Stewart do a roast before, so but he was great. I really liked it. They were both good. I think Garen won that one. Then it was who? Was it Anthony and Chad next? Or no, I think it was Tom vs Liz. So I really thought Liz was gonna win. But Liz, I think he did too many. He wrote too many. His roasts were too long. They both were too long, but Tom's hit harder, and I think Tom's first half was really good. His second half was a bit weaker, and basically too much content, but hit really hard. And I would say he clearly won that. And then it was Anthony versus Chad, and the same thing. I thought Anthony was gonna win, but they were both good. They were both really good. But Chad's just landed a bit better, and then Chad's delivery is really funny because he's got like he's got his deep Australian accent. And then what was it? It was like break, and then I think it was the WWE event, the WWE thing. So Asif Big Dog Khan pretended to get mad at Ashley over a joke about India, and then he started heckling him from the back, and more than heckling, like basically jeering at him. And then Garen got on stage and said, "Hey, if you guys want to fight, why don't you fight on stage and roast each other?" And then Steve said, "Okay, I will." I don't know, something like I can't remember exactly how it went down. And then they both got on stage and they basically did their roasts. Like it was pre-planned, but it was kind of funny. It was cool. Like it's a really good idea. And they fooled my mom, and I think they fooled someone else who is a comic. I can't remember who, Dave maybe. But basically, it was good. Good acting. And they should do more of that stuff. It's fun, especially if you get it on film, right? It should come off well on film. I think Ashley won, but both were good. Chad had a good line in that one. So Harsh. Harsh was one of the judges, and he said, Asif went to high school went to a fancy British boarding school. He went to Eton, and Ashley's kind of fat, so Harsh said, "This is Eton versus Eating." That was pretty good. Good line from the judge. And then who was next? It was it was Tambi versus Asa. That was great. Both were good. I mean, Asa messed up a bit. She messed up her lines a bit, but she had good lines. She started really strong. She said something like, "Tambi has so many jokes. Tambi's been doing comedy for 14 years, and he's got like 7 jokes. That's like one joke every 2 years. That's amazing." Does this count as joke stealing? I'm crediting them, so I think it doesn't. Also, it's like roast. They're probably not going to do it again. Also, nobody listens to this podcast, so I'm in the clear. She also said that Tambi's a comedy producer, so he's like a gatekeeper for the comedy scene, and that's why comedy sucks so bad in Hong Kong. It was very good, very relatable, because the audience has just watched like an hour worth of Hong Kong comedy. So they, actually the show was pretty good. So, but it's still funny. It's always funny to make fun of a comedian for being bad at comedy. It can never not be true. I mean, you have to be like really good for that to not make sense, because every comedian is bad sometimes. And then it was me and Henrik, and I think Tambi won the last battle. And then it was me and Henrik And Henrik just fucking, I don't know. He riffed too much, and then he also like, I think some of his jokes didn't really land very well. He did a lot about cucking, which I think it's pretty funny, but I think people didn't get it too much. Like he was talking about the cuck chair, which is a concept I'm familiar with, but maybe people, no, I think people get it. I don't know. It's 50-50. Like I think but like whatever, doesn't matter. Basically, I beat him. I was Henrik started off really well. He roasted the judges, so he said something like, "Wow, we got some big names on this comedy judge panel. We got the amazing Jason Strickland and the two other guys. That was great. That went down really well. Also, that really buttered Jason up. You know, Jason was mad at me because I roasted him 2 months ago, and he was mad that I was making stuff up about him. So I was going to address that. I was going to talk about how Jason got upset because I made stuff up about him 2 months ago. And I was basically just going to run the jokes again and say that whether they were true or not. But I didn't do it because I thought, like, what's the point of making Jason mad? I was like, what's the point of making Jason mad? I'm just going to lose his vote. I should have done it because it was kind of funny. Also, yeah, to be like, if it's funny, just do it, you know? Don't worry too much about what the judges think. Like, fuck them anyway. Anyway, that was the roast. And then afterwards, we went to play poker. That was fun. We went to Satish and Kate's house to play poker for a few hours and then went back home to sleep. And then Sunday, what did I do? I went to my dad's house and hung out with my mom, did some wedding planning, and played with the dog. And that was it. And then now we're back to Monday. Okay, cool. So it's Monday. Wow, 30 minutes. I can't believe I talked for this long. That's amazing. But yeah, it's almost 10 a.m. So I'm going to take a shower, go to the office, and then get on with the week. So that's the podcast. Thank you very much. Hopefully no copyright strike this time. I'd be surprised, you know. If I do get a copyright strike, I guess it will be for like doing the other comedians' jokes. But you know what? They're not copyrighted, so I think I'm in the clear. I think, you know, anyway, whatever. Podcast over. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. See you later. See you next week.